Chatbot, virtual agent, ChatterBot, and AI bot. What do these phrases even mean? Are they the same thing? Can I use them interchangeably? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Morgan with IBM. So to figure this out, we've got to talk about the progression of chatbots over time. So the very first chatbot to be invented was actually in 1966, and her name was Eliza. So Eliza's sole purpose was to provide responses to users based on different keywords. So since she was the first chatbot, they were like, hey, let's see if we can make something automated that's going to respond to what users say. So think of it as like a bunch of if-then statements. If we say to Eliza, for instance, I like apples, she's going to take the keyword apples and then give us some sort of response based on that. She's literally just looking for a keyword and giving us a canned response. If I say something about, I have 2 dogs and their names are Apollo and Mr. Hubble, she's going to take the keyword dogs and then give me some response based on that. So it's not super customizable. She's not going to have like a human conversation with me, but she's going to be able to do some relatively basic things. So this is called a rule-based chatbot. Next, we're going to fast forward to the 2000s. Now, this chatbot was named Alice. Alice stands for Artificial Language Internet Computer Entity, which is a lot of words to say that Alice's sole purpose was to use pattern recognition to have conversations with people. That was literally it. She was just there to act as a human, just in order to communicate. She actually serves as the foundation. The technology that she's based on is the foundation for most chatbots these days. There's a concept of something called the Turing test. And what that means is if a chatbot can be tested by humans and the human can't determine whether it's a human on the other side or a chatbot, then they fail the Turing test. But if I'm performing this test on a chatbot and I can't tell if it's a human or a chatbot, then they pass. Unfortunately, Alice did not pass, but she did win a lot of awards for her work. Now, I'm sure everyone is familiar with Apple's Siri. So this was kind of the first entry into using a chatbot as a personal assistant. You take out your phone, you say, hey Siri, I'd like to place an order, or what is the weather, or can you send a text message, and stuff like that. So she was kind of the first in this sense to give us a sort of concierge experience. And that kind of led into, also in the 2010s, home assistants. So when I say home assistant, think about mostly a smart speaker. Most of us have either an Alexa or Google Home or something like that in our home. So if I tell my Alexa, hey, Alexa, start my day, she's going to be able to do a ton of different things. She can, turn my thermostat to a different temperature. She can turn on all the lights. She can tell me what the news is, and the weather, and all that kind of stuff. So this is when we start getting into more intelligent chatbots, which leads us to 2016. Now in 2016, we had what is called the AI boom. AI, artificial intelligence, what this means is that we are essentially integrating AI into everything in our daily lives. So whether it's a smart device or a chatbot, AI is there. So when we think about what is a virtual agent, let's say we have our chatbot, and her name is going to be Sally. I can tell Sally a number of different things, and she's going to be able to understand what I mean no matter how I say it. So over here, rule-based, we would have to look for a specific keyword like apple or something like that. But like, what do you do with the apple? Or what do I want the apple to be, a specific type? Well, Sally is really smart. She's using natural language processing to figure out exactly what it is that I want. She can connect to a bunch of different services. So think if you want to check an order status. For instance, I ordered some shoes and I'm wondering, where are they? They haven't gotten here. I can ask Sally, hey Sally, where are my shoes? she can connect to the specific shop's database and check the status of where my shoes are. And then say, oh, your shoes were delivered. You have to check your front porch. Something like that. Like I said before, she can also control different smart devices. So if I am hungry, I say, Sally, start the oven. Preheat the oven to 350. She's able to go into this specific integration and communicate with the oven. That leads us to, what about what's going to happen in the future? So we could have potentially chips embedded into our brains so that we don't have to communicate with a chatbot via voice or text or anything. It can just read our minds.
Like and subscribe.
And know exactly what we want without us having to say anything at all. It's a possibility. So back to the original question. We've got chatbots, virtual agents, chatterbots, and AI bots. What's the difference? We started with a rule-based chatbot over here, which is very simple, looking for specific keywords or specific patterns, but it's not really doing very much. It's just taking some input and giving us something out. And this is what Eliza and Alice are doing. Over here, we've got our virtual agents or our AI bots. Now they're intelligent, they use natural language processing, they can connect to a ton of different services and do many, many things. So that's what Siri and our home assistants are doing, and we're currently in the AI boom. And that's the difference between all of these terms. Thank you. If you have questions, please drop us a line below. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, please like and subscribe.